Good evening, friends. Welcome back. Reading passages from Inner Work, Avodat Hashem, the teachings of Rav Ashlag. We're on page 79. The Rebbe said, quote, "The secret is God. We don't hear God, don't see God, don't feel God, yet we say every day in our prayers, God's glory fills the entire world. The world is filled with God, but it is a secret." Okay, so yes, the secret is God. Right? Like we've been saying, in our world of Galut paradigm, the exile paradigm, where God's presence is hidden from us, we don't hear God, we don't see God, we don't feel God, right? It's we have the layers of filters on all of our senses that keep us from experiencing the light of the Creator, the light of God, the majesty, the magicalness, the awe, the wonder of being here, of existing, of being a magical speaking animal creature. We're blocked to it because of the exile paradigm that we live in and the conditioning of ourselves, and just becoming so normalized to life, and then taking all of these magical, mysterious things for granted. Unfortunately, as we get older and older, the more and further we get from that, unless we do the work of Emunah. So yeah, we don't hear God, see God, feel God, yet every day in our prayers, we say God's glory fills the entire world. It's the English translation of one of the Hebrew prayers, Malei Chol Haaretz Chavodo. So the world is filled with God, as we've been talking, but it is a secret, right? It is this hidden secret that it is our job as Jews and our job as human beings on the spiritual path to reveal the secret. That's what we're here to do. We're here to reveal the secret that everything is God and God's glory fills the entire earth, and it's here awaiting us, ready when we open our hearts and all of our senses to embrace and accept this awesome inheritance. Amen. The four spiritual worlds discussed in the Kabbalah, as well as all the Partsufim and Sfirot, delineate inner soul states. They are not places somewhere in the universe, but rather states of consciousness that we are meant to experience. They delineate the stages of emunah and love that we have for God. So in Kabbalah, they talk about the four spiritual worlds. They talk about the Partsufim, the faces of God, and they talk about the Sfirot, the tree of life. And in certain forms of Kabbalah, or certain ways that people may understand the Kabbalah, they might understand them as places somewhere in the universe, right? For worlds. So where are these worlds? Somewhere in the universe. But really the Rav is saying that they delineate inner soul states. They're representative of inner soul states. They're not places somewhere in the universe. Rather, they're states of consciousness that we are here meant to experience, that we're here to experience the different Partsufim, the different Sfirot, and the different spiritual worlds as states of consciousness. That's that they're available for us to experience. They delineate as well the stages of emunah, of embodied faith. Each level of embodied faith is another level of a spiritual world, is another partzuf. Partzuf is another sphira. And they delineate the love that we have for God. So on different stages or different manifestations, expressions of the love that we have for God. It is not possible for any one of us to miss completing our purpose. If so, there would be a person who God created for no reason. This cannot be. So it's saying that we're all completing our purpose, whether we know it or not. We're playing a role in the divine plan and the unfolding of evolution and the unfolding of transformation and unfolding of the revelation of the divine in the world. We're all playing a part, and we cannot miss completing our purpose. If that were possible, then there would be a person that God created for no reason. Right? Because if God created a person, then God created them with a purpose, and their purpose is being fulfilled, whether or not they're aware of it or not. It's an interesting teaching. It demands a lot of faith and belief. And, yeah. Personally, I'm not 100% sure how much I resonate with that. I feel like it is possible for us not to necessarily complete our purpose if we are not focused on it. But what do I know? Maybe I could be completely wrong. We're all fulfilling purposes, even if we're not aware of them or manifesting them. The wisdom of Kabbalah is an aspect of Mashiach. This is why there is great opposition to Kabbalah in the world. Selfishness is very afraid of this light of Mashiach because it means the end of its power. Right? So the wisdom of Kabbalah is an aspect of the Messiah, the one or the consciousness that comes to transition us from the world of exile, from the Galut paradigm to the Geulah paradigm, to the redemption paradigm. And this is why there is great opposition to Kabbalah in the world, because the selfishness, the collective selfishness, is very afraid of this light of Mashiach, of transformation, of redemption energy, because it means the end of its power, because selfishness, again, is separate self-consciousness. It's a consciousness of I, me, mine, and it is afraid of the light of Mashiach because it would have to give up its selfishness, its self-centeredness, its separate self-consciousness, because the light of Mashiach and the light of Kabbalah, the wisdom of Kabbalah, is all about unity consciousness, about transcending and transforming the separate self-consciousness to a unity consciousness. That's why they also say in Eastern philosophies, like the ego will fight against the spiritual path because it knows that one who is committed to the spiritual path and doing the spiritual practices and getting to a place of awakening means the death of the ego. So the ego will fight because it feels like it's under attack, it's under threat, which it is. Separate self-consciousness is under, it's threatened truly by the teachings of Kabbalah and the practices of Emunah, because, as we said, it would have to die in order for the transformation to take place, or maybe not die, but be reformed and integrated into a unity consciousness. The Mashiach that many people yearn for is completely different than the Mashiach. I'll say that again. The Mashiach that many people yearn for is completely different from what Mashiach actually is. Right? Again, this concept, like, what is Mashiach? Mashiach in the biblical sense is this man who rides in on a white donkey and, transforms humanity and brings about the Geulah, the redemption. But really, Mashiach is an energy, it's a consciousness, it comes from the wisdom of Kabbalah. It comes from the manifestation of Emunah, of the highest soul state. And it brings about the end of self-centered and separate self-consciousness and brings about the recognition of unity consciousness, how we are all connected through a web, interwoven with our souls, connected to each other and to the planet and to all of creation and to the entire cosmos. And that is a lot different than the Mashiach that many people yearn for. Also, that concept that people understand the Mashiach is the Mashiach does the work for you and comes down and magically transforms the world, right? As Bob Marley said, some people think great God will come down from the sky, take away everything and make everybody feel high. But if you know what life is worth, you will look for yours on earth, right? Meaning that people think that the Messiah is going to make it all better. But in fact, the Mashiach energy is going to help us do the transformational work inside and support us in doing the transformational work. We must work in order to transform our consciousness. And the Mashiach will help us to be able to do that, or the Mashiach consciousness, or the light of Mashiach, the collective consciousness of Mashiach will help us to do that. Building the temple means that Mashiach will inspire everyone to want to build the temple within themselves. This means transcending selfishness, giving to others, and realizing the importance of Emunah. So along the same lines as what we just said. That's from the same page as the passage before. In the original text, which is Hakdama L'Chokhmat HaEmet, page 184. Building the temple means that Mashiach will inspire everyone to want to build the temple within themselves, right? So in the tradition, we also see that Mashiach not only is the transformation of the exile paradigm to the redemption paradigm, but it also signifies the third temple, the Beit HaMikdash. There were two temples that were in Jerusalem, that the wall is still standing there, and the Temple Mount is the place where the Jewish temple was. But the tradition says that with coming of Mashiach and the Geulah, there will be a third temple that will be forever, a forever eternal third temple. So this is speaking to that concept that building the temple, the third temple, means that Mashiach will actually inspire everyone to build the temple within themselves. And there are Kabbalistic teachings and Hasidic teachings that say, really, truly, the third temple isn't a physical manifestation of a place, but the third temple is inside of ourselves, and we each will be building the third temple in our bodies. These bodies will be the third temple. The way that we, eat food will be like a sacrifice to the temple of our body, and the relationship with our bodies will be completely transformed. So that's what this passage is saying, that the Mashiach will inspire that kind of temple building within ourselves, that we will transform our relationship with our body and turn it into the third temple, the Beit HaMikdash, the holy temple. And this means transcending selfishness, again, self-centeredness and separate self-consciousness, which then gives rise to giving to others because others are an extension of ourselves, and as well as realizing the importance of Emunah, the importance of the practice of Emunah, which is the pathway to arriving and manifesting this Geulah consciousness, this unity consciousness. Okay, folks, there you have it. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you tomorrow.